The year is 2017. The summer holiday has just concluded, and people are finally going back to their normal routines. And when you're grinding either school or a job, it's nice to have something to do when you get home after a long day, like playing a video game, for example. However, during the weeks following the incredible 2017 summer holiday, gaming was at its lowest point in many years. Many previously massive games had recently gone downhill, and people wanting to hop on and unwind simply had nothing fun to play. But then, as the weeks went by and the world of games stayed dead, a brand new game would be released, called Fortnite Battle Royale. The game, although clunky, was undeniably unique. It didn't follow many trends, other than the fact that it was a Battle Royale game, and it included mechanics that allowed for major skill gaps, something other games were trying to minimize. So a handful of competitive players coming from other games, content creators, and young ambitious talents picked up the game and competed to become the best in the early days.
Woo! Baby!
What followed in the subsequent months were clips that shouldn't have been possible comparatively to the general knowledge at those times. So today, to pay tribute to some of the best players, most innovative ideas, and things that truthfully shouldn't even have been close to possible, we're looking at the single best clips from every Fortnite season ever. Make yourself comfortable, because this one is going to be one for the books. The beauty of the first few months of Fortnite was that there were hundreds of plays to figure out. For example, I remember being shocked when streamers edited windows to shoot opponents, or even more so if anyone ever edited a stair. These early innovators of using the build and edit mechanics in order to become harder to fight really revolutionized the game. But some plays were more insane than others, and that's where Socreal's rocket ride clip comes in.
Go! Oh! A third one!
This clip made thousands of players from around the world attempt doing the very same thing, often ending in them going back to the lobby as a result of failing the rocket ride. When you were successful in doing it, however, you'd end up smiling from ear to ear, especially the first few times you did it. Being able to travel at that speed, sitting on a rocket in the first, very slow season of Fortnite was one of the most fun gaming experiences I've ever had, and much of that is thanks to Socreal's clip. Now, a clip that didn't make you smile from ear to ear, but rather made you insanely motivated to get on and grind, was when Ninja hit a 1 HP 1v4 using revolvers only. Ninja was truly a benchmark of what was possible in terms of skill in the early days of the game, and his game sense, aim, and mechanical abilities at this time was something for every aspiring pro Fortnite player to look up to. But just like every other person who's ever been widely considered the very best at something, Ninja had a rival in the player and streamer Tfue. The rivalry between these two back in the first seasons of Fortnite has undeniably been the most serious in the game's history, as they were both for a long time competing for the title of the best player in the world, with very few other players ever even being seriously considered. So when they got in the same game and played against each other in a fair 1v1, the stakes were higher than ever for both of them. This 1v1 right here is one of, if not the most legendary fight in Fortnite's history, with only a few battles being able to contend for that title. But more on that later. Although Ninja might have lost to Tfue in a 1v1 that probably cost him multiple nights of solid sleep, he was still able to consistently hit clips that were out of this world. And one day, with a sniper in hand, he was able to hit 7 headshots in the span of a 1-minute clip.
Fine, you're absolutely fine. Stay right there. Thank you.
Oh my god, come on, baby! Oh my god! Oh my!
Now, the crazy thing about this clip was that it was hit in the same season where Tfue got a super similar one. However, Tfue's sniping clip, as you see in the background footage right now, was in the mode 50v50, whereas Ninja's clip was in a real game. In addition, Ninja snipes were way further away, meaning they were harder to hit. Let me know in the comments below which clip you find better, because when making this pick, it felt like my brain was going to explode due to how difficult it was. Someone who exploded in popularity in the middle of chapter 1 was Mongrel, and for good reason. Lightning fast builds, being able to consistently edit better and quicker than, so to say, every other already big streamer, and having aim that looked like aimbot are all facts about his playstyle back in the early days of the game. Season 5 of Fortnite was also when the 2018 summer holiday began for the majority of players, and due to that, millions of people were grinding it out and the game reached its all-time high in terms of popularity. Nearly every young person from around the world hopped on to play at least a few times a week during this period, and the vibes were incredible across the board. Choosing the best clip from the season was super hard due to how many amazing clips were born during this one, but Mongrel was so far ahead mechanically speaking that we have to have a look at one of his clips.
Good. Boom, just got trapped. What you can do, I'm gonna edit that. Boom. Like, you're dead. Boom, boom. Cone him, boom. Build over. Oh, get sprayed. Not what I want. Build a waterfall, boom. Blaze it, boom, boom, boom. Edit, boom. Dead.
If you remember when this clip first surfaced around the internet, you'll know how impressive these moves were. Being as clean with cones, taking walls, and trapping players was something only a handful of others worldwide was consistently capable of. In addition, Mongrel was so good that he made every player he played against seem terrible, a level of skill some of the biggest streamers at the time didn't even have. As the summer holiday came to a close, so did Season 5, and going into Season 6, we had some super fun events to watch. The Fall Skirmish for starters. Being able to watch players win tens of thousands of dollars from simply being good at Fortnite was an electric feeling, because the beauty of these tourneys was that they were open to anyone who performed good enough in the open tournaments Fortnite had previously offered, meaning you could go from basically nothing to a net worth of many tens of thousands overnight. And that's exactly what a previously solid Counter-Strike player by the name of Metro had done. During the second week of the Fall Skirmish, he would go on to win his very first solo tournament, and he did so in an extremely clean fashion. Have a look at this.
He's gonna drop down a little bit, get closer.
Dude, if he can create a small opening here, he can actually send him... Oh! No, like... No way!
As you can tell by the caster's reaction, this play was out of this world. Nobody had previously used the shockwave in a manner like Metro, especially not against another top-tier competitive player. And if you were someone who watched this event live, you couldn't help but get motivated to grind competitive after seeing this, at the time, inhuman play. Now, Metro's clip was kinda like a singular insane thing happening, but the NA legend Saf had a play during the Secret Skirmish that was an incredible chain of great plays back to back to back. The fun thing about the Secret Skirmish tournament was that the pros who got invited didn't have set duos, meaning it was random who you played with. And Saf, during this tournament, carried Ronaldo to winning the tourney altogether. And it was much thanks to this exact pop-off.
This is key here. The next player who dies falls just on the outside of the skirt. There you go. Base Soldier gets knocked and eliminated. You see 6 teams remaining. Whoever winds up getting dropped next, there's a placement point, another one! Oh my, Saf now with 5 limbs, and he's earned his team another point as well for placement. Saf continues to do it. He's dropping him down, Saf with another. Oh my god! Oh my god!
Imagine being Saf in this very moment, the final game of a tournament with a $100,000 prize pool, and you pop off harder than any other player during the span of the entire tournament. And as a result of your efforts, you take home $27K collectively with your duo. Must be one of the best feelings as a competitor ever. Now, in the season following, eager competitors got another thing to be really hyped about, namely the World Cup qualifiers. The Fortnite World Cup was truly an opportunity for everyone around the world to change their lives, as if you put in enough hours, you could qualify for the finals in New York, where you had already won $50,000, even if you got last place. I remember before week 1, I was so excited the entire week. I got home from school Monday through Friday with this ambitious feeling in my body. I was getting ready for my opportunity to make some good earnings that I could upgrade my computer with. But someone who wasn't even close to satisfied with only making money was Mongrel. He needed to make the finals in New York. So in the 3rd week of the World Cup qualifiers, he made sure to put on a show.
The drop in gets the shot off and gets the elimination. Mongrel literally putting on a clinic of why you need to pay attention to what's going on.
Everybody,
are you kidding?
Just fell.
Picks up 3 balls.
Launch pad, he's gonna launch pad off. Oh my goodness, are you serious? 13 eliminations, there's still 4 players left, including him. Add it down! No way! Are you doing this right now, Mongrel? No way! Top 3 situation now. Gonna get the time for the minis. Single player that we talked about earlier in the lobby. And now reloading the double RPG as well. Zura's gonna go down in another one. Mongrel, are you kidding me?
You just know he didn't think about anything else other than the game when he hit this insane pop-off. He was truly in the flow state of mind, and this is one of the best clips to have ever come from competitive Fortnite's history. The cool thing about the World Cup qualifiers was that week 1 through 4 was played in Season 8, and week 5 to 10 was played in Season 9. What that meant was that anyone who was willing to pour in a tremendous amount of time into understanding the meta would get a massive advantage over everyone else. And one player who did this to probably the highest extent in Fortnite's entire lifespan was Mr. Savage during week 5 of the qualifiers, where he, only 5 days after the shadow bombs were introduced, made one of the most iconic plays ever.
But
Mr.
now
Savage
finds a shot.
is the person who will make it work. He is so innovative.
What?
And he takes out Mitro. This is what I was talking about. That matters. Sad Aqua. This game was stacked with players. Back now, top 4.
Folks, you might be witnessing live why Mr. Savage qualifies this week for a trip to the World Cup Finals in New York. I'm sorry for anything I said about the grenade launcher, because apparently he's using it perfectly and making me look like an idiot. Mr. Savage M. Building on up, 22 builds remaining. The spray comes into 72 tag, another elimination. Now 8 elims this game. They've got to go up the side of a mountain, and it's shadow bomb time. Look at how awkward this is. He's getting completely blocked then out. He's deciding to take storm damage.
Yes.
Mr. Savage! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my goodness!
What a play!
The best shadow bomb use I've ever seen!
This play, when I watched it, gave me chills all over my body because of just how smart and insane it was at the time. In addition, this play was what secured his ticket to the finals in New York and also $50,000. Without a shadow of a doubt, the most stylish way of any player to qualify. Now, in the season following, millions of people were hyped to play competitively because of what Bugha achieved in winning the World Cup in the season prior. The general motivation in the community was probably at its highest point ever. You would go to school and hear people talking about Fortnite competitive, and understandably so. The prize pools were awesome, and this was also the first season with an FNCS. The FNCS, although not anywhere near as hype as the World Cup qualifiers, was a great way to benchmark your actual skill, as there were many rounds to qualify for, beginning from opens, where you needed to be in the top 1,000 teams to qualify to round 2. Then you played against those 1,000 teams, and if you made it into the top 250 of said teams, you already made $320 each, or $960 collectively as a team. If you made the top 150, you made your way into the weekly finals, where you got to play again against those 150 teams. If you were good enough to place anywhere in the top 30, you would make a ton of money. This time of the game was kind of wholesome, as many players had set teams that they grinded and won money together with. Splitting after one bad tourney wasn't as common as it is today, and many trios made thousands of dollars together, upgraded their setups, and later became top-tier pros from this season's FNCS. And if you were consistent enough during the 5 open weeks, you would qualify to the FNCS heats, where you could place highly enough to get a ticket to the grand finals. This was where this next clip was born.
All on the back of Zextro, and you can see trying to not crouch, wants to avoid doing that. Is he able to fight it? He gets angled, but he gets sent out. Will he be able to get back?
Something!
Pop a bandage! Pop a bandage! Zextro, pop a bandage! Son, please!
Wait, don't forget he has the double eliminations for the site, but it's gonna come through. Agro goes down. Uzi goes down. One HP. Son down! Son down! What?
Again, another insane chain of crazy elims. Zextro at this time was arguably the best aimer in the world, and it's safe to say that he didn't want to miss out on qualifying for grands. This clutch has also become widely recognized for how funny it was that Sundown, one of the casters, said that he should pop a bandage, obviously being a play that would have caused him to get eliminated. Like, how can you watch these chapter 1 clips and not be motivated? That's my question. The vast majority of these players built up careers from the open tournaments Fortnite offered, and you can do the exact same thing even to this day. When Season X concluded, the game went down and was unplayable for 36 hours, with nothing but a black hole appearing on the screen when attempting to get on and play. During this time, my friends like iDrop, Zenit, and Fruzzy got withdrawals from not being able to play the game, bodies shaking and heads aching. But of course, unlike many seem to think, the game wouldn't remain down forever, and soon enough, we were allowed in to play Chapter 2, Season 1. The season began in the middle of October 2019, and yet again ran ran over Christmas. Every season that runs during Christmas has great vibes. This is because the majority of people from NA and EU especially have holidays and celebrate with families. And there's not a lot that beats having a fun day with family than hopping on at night to play with your friends who have done the exact same thing. During the season, Squads was the main game mode for competitive, and Benji Fishy and Mongrel still played together, being incredibly funny to watch, but also just unbelievably good. Have a look at this.
Nice! Nice! Gotta finish it, bro! Oh. Yeah, just look! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
I just can't help but smile when I watch this one. The passion these boys had was truly admirable, and being able to be that passionate and play at the highest level must be close to an unbeatable feeling. One might say that Benji was playing at his peak in Season X and Chapter 2 Season 1. And I don't know about you, but the feeling of really playing at your peak is one of the best ones out there. In my opinion, another player who played at his peak at the beginning of Chapter 2 was Clix. I mean, look at this absurd clip right here.
Nice. Nice. 5 builds. Nice. Oh my god. Grappler. Nice. Nice. What? You're back. Build. Nice.
Hitting 1 max damage pump in an endgame is an incredible feeling, let alone 4. I just loved the passion as well coming from Commandment. It seems as though being passionate was way more prevalent back in the day, but this is something we need to bring back, because it actually makes the game so much more fun. You know what else is fun? Summer, the best season of the year. And this time during summer, we had a solo FNCS that you could argue took away a lot of the fun of the 2020 summer holiday for Fortnite players, due to how you sometimes get so frustrated you just want to scream. But not for all. Some people knew this was their opportunity to build some achievements so that they later in their careers could get really good players to play team tournaments with. In addition, during this time of 2020, we had already had some time at home due to a certain little virus. So people were playing a lot, and competitive hungry players for sure wanted to prove themselves. However, one guy stood miles above the rest, and that was Tayson. He easily made his way into the FNCS Grand Finals, and in the second to last game he played, he performed, at the time, one of the most perfect endgames ever. It's hard to emphasize just how impressive getting 12 elims in solo is when you're playing against the other very best players in the world. It's even more difficult to explain how Tayson is able to make these nutty players look like floppers, because during this endgame, he truthfully did. When I was watching this live on the broadcast, I ended up standing up on my chair and holding my hands behind my head, because popping off in this manner during the most important tournament of your career is something very few others in the world would be able to accomplish. Accomplishing getting off the game during Stark Season might have been just as hard, due to how fun the game was back then. Siphon, pumps dealing 200 damage, actual fun POIs like Stark where you could fight 24/7, Arena, good movement, the game felt amazing, and the viewership was massive, meaning anyone could make a career content-wise due to the major potential audience. This loot pool also made some of the best clips in the history of the game. You might remember Exotic's clip, and if you think this is the best clip from Stark Season, then I totally understand. However, Benji also had a clutch that was out of this world, that, in my opinion, might just take the cake. I don't know, boys. After seeing both the Exotic clip and this one, which one do you think is better? Exotic's iconic and clean creative clip, or Benji's 12 elim DreamHack pop-off? Now, in the season following, the tactical shotgun was re-added into the game, and for some reason, the tag felt better than ever. And hitting 2 tags in fights with the shotgun or in trio endgames was super satisfying. This season went on during the year switch from 2020 to 2021, which was awesome due to how every competitive player started on 0/2021 PR on January 1st, obviously. If you don't know what PR is, it's a metric given to you based on your tournament placements. The higher the PR, the better competitive results you've gotten. And one player who really wanted to secure some PR with the tactical shotgun in hand was Cyrex. When his teammates went down and they needed a few more points to qualify to the FNCS finals, he pulled off one of the best clutches of all time.
Nice! You have mats. Time for them. 3 builds.
Nice, good shit. Good shit. Nice.
Wait, good finish. Good shit.
Nice. Get all the mats, and just go front side.
Yeah, you have like 200 mats.
Just hang around, you're good. Nice, get in front.
Nice, you're chilling. Just chilling there.
Nice. Fucking shit. Alright.
4 people left, bro.
Just get in front.
Top two. Good shit.
Alright, let's go!
Fucking win this game, son. Fucking win this game, son.
You win. Let's go!
You win this game, Cyrix. Nice. Get finished. Spray for finish. Oh. Yeah, one more build.
Oh my god, Cyrex!
Get finished.
Oh my god!
Again, this is one that just puts a smile on your face. You can tell that Cyrex, who was the guy playing, was just so locked in whilst his teammates were hyping him up, making him play even more confidently. If you're not as good a teammate as the boys on Cyrex's trio, then you've got a thing or two to learn. Now, during Season 5, we also had the first ever reboot rounds in FNCS. What that essentially meant was that 33 teams who just missed out on the FNCS Grand Finals had the opportunity to play one game against each other. The team winning would get the last ticket into Grands. But during Season 5, no real insane clips were born from the reboot round. However, the same cannot be said for Season 6, where Sprite made one of the craziest clutches ever.
Team on low ground. Nice. Swordfish and flopper behind you. 40 seconds until zone.
Nice.
Yo, swordfish.
7 builds, pop slurp.
7 builds. Top 2. 1v2.
Top
1v2. You have 1 swordfish.
Pop a slurfish. 13 builds.
Coming up.
Nice.
He has to go through a building.
1 builds. 4 builds.
He has to go through a building.
Nice. Got your finish. No more builds.
He's coming up. Oh!
You just know that Sprite went to bed smiling after this performance, and he probably got the best sleep of his life as well, unless of course he was too hyped. That would have probably been the case for me if I was ever able to pull anything like this off. This clutch right here is probably in the top 3 greatest clutches in the entirety of Fortnite's 6+ year lifespan. A clip that was super hyped to watch on Twitter in Season 7 was a clip running in the background right now by Aiden World. And for this season, we once again find ourselves in a bit of a predicament, because the background clip you're watching right now is out of this world. And if you think this clip is the best clip of Season 7, I don't blame you at all. But I believe, due to the fact I'm super passionate about competitive, I have to give an edge over to Wrigley, who just like Sprite locked in harder than ever to secure his trio a spot in the FNCS Grand Finals. Have a look at this.
You're good, Matt, still.
100. Connect.
You might have to drop him, he's out of mats. Nice!
All 3! All solos!
Nice!
Chuck it in down there! Matt's build.
Yep. 2 builds.
Nice. Place one more. Cracked him.
Let's go! Let's fucking go! Let's fucking go! Let's go!
This reaction right here literally makes me laugh because of how insane both the clutch and reaction was. I could just imagine the hype Wrigley must have felt after this one, and most of us can only dream of accomplishing a clutch like this in an as serious environment. Now, we've had 2 insane reboot clutches in Trios FNCS, but we haven't yet seen a Trios FNCS Grand Finals clutch, possibly because clutching in Trios, let alone in Grands, is almost impossible. But during the Season 8 Grand Finals over on NA, Clix got literally the perfect clutch. His awareness, aim, and movement was just on another level in this one.
Take it. 30, right. Got it.
In an FNCS Grand Final, every placement could be another $1,000. So imagine not only clutching a few placements, but the entire win in a tournament as important as this one. Clutches like these can actually be the difference of a few tens of thousands of dollars, meaning they mean even more to the players who pull them off. With Chapter 2 coming to a close and Fortnite ready to release Chapter 3, they had a massive task at hand. Make it better than the previous chapter. You'll all remember how good the vibes were during Chapter 2. People were grinding, the game felt good, and the weapons were truthfully fun to play with. In addition, Chapter 3 Season 1 was going to be released in December, meaning the season needed to live up to the hype of the previous Christmas seasons in Fortnite. Although I think for me personally, the Christmas vibes in Chapter 3 Season 1 weren't anything close to the likes of Season 2 and 7 especially, they still did do some things right with the season. Like for example, the Striker Shotgun, my all-time favorite shotty in the game. The only unfortunate thing was that the SMGs during Season 1 were so strong that most players didn't even play a shotty. And one player who abused the meta to the very highest extent possible was Hen in the final game of the EU FNCS Grand Finals, after Queasy got eliminated and he needed to clutch the game to win the tournament, and the 150 grand that came with it.
To stay alive, he's done everything he possibly can, and he won't stop here, dealing damage, applying pressure like he has a teammate by his side, gets Karma down. Champions.
6 teams, 6 players. It's a solos FNCS basically, and Hen is going for high ground. 1v1, toe to toe, up against Boobot. One edit, he's got no shield. Hen needs to win this. He has control.
He's done everything. He's solo clutch. We know he has that ability. No materials left, but he still is able to apply damage. Won't get that elimination, but he will hold on.
Starts to spray one more person in his way. The Sip goes down to the low ground. All it has to do is wait. The drop down, the beam, it's almost enough, and has it. 1v1, 297 points. This is for the European Championship. All he has to do is take down Walks, solidify it. He has enough points already, but do it in style, my friend. The VR is just in your grasp. Hen as a solo against the world, and he wins.
The way Hen was able to pull this solo clutch off, and then on top of that win the entire tournament, is just unreal. What makes this clutch even better is the caster's reaction. Just gives me chills all over my body. Now, someone who has no chill is Vico. Vico in Chapter 3 was a player who just started making some waves, placing relatively good in tournaments. And little did everyone know that this guy would become one of the absolute best players in Europe, coming from basically nothing in terms of achievements just a few months before. Season 2 of Chapter 3 kind of felt like a filler season, as it ran from March to the beginning of June. In other words, the busiest months of the year for the majority of people in terms of school, work, etc. But Vico took this opportunity to grind harder than anyone, and as a result, he ended up becoming the most mechanical player of Season 2. I mean, have a look at this. I remember seeing this on Twitter and just thinking it was about time for me to retire. If I had ever come close to doing another course like that, I would have without a shadow of a doubt missed the shot in the end. But Vico is different, and he just doesn't miss. Not a shot, nor an edit. When this season came to an end, we finally had another season during summer. People from everywhere yet again had the opportunity to put their heads down and grind super hard. The feeling of freedom was all around the community, and the overall vibes during Season 3 were incredible. You could wake up early in the morning one one day and people would be on. You could also hop on Discord late at night and boom, still people online. This time of the year is a time for progress. And one player who seemingly improved tremendously during the summer was Vanya, because during FNCS semifinals, he was able to pull off this nearly impossible clutch.
Find the cone, it isn't going to do it. He needs to be careful because his teammate has fallen. Kami hasn't, but Vanyak will connect. That will be his third, and looking for even more now as well. Vanyak, can he take height? He can, and he picks up another. Kuro will fall, and Bandwise will follow. Vanyak, how are you doing this? This isn't even fair. He now has a 1v2 situation against Raisin and Pena.
Get these eliminations. This is not an easy situation to be in, but he hits one, he hits two. Just one more shot needed for the 1 versus 2. Vanyak, oh 7, 8.
The casting by 11 during this clutch as well was just out of this world. It really elevated how insane that win was. The crazy thing as well was that this FNCS semifinals was the last opportunity to make your way into the grand finals. If you didn't place highly enough in this one, you wouldn't make it. So Vanyak just pulled out one of the most legendary plays in the history of competitive to ensure his spot. Fair play to him. With the end of Chapter 3 also came the end of COVID. After being in lockdown for what felt like forever and no Fortnite LANs being hosted from March of 2020 until the 2022 Invitational that took place in November, players were definitely ready to prove themselves offline. What you must understand though is that the 2022 Invitational was an extremely high pressure environment because players from all around the world needed to prove that they weren't just good online. Being good offline, or in other words in a LAN setting, comes with way more respect due to how the prize pools are often bigger, as well as the importance of LANs in the eyes of the viewers, sponsors and orgs isn't even close to comparatively to online. LANs are a big deal. So when during the final game of the biggest Fortnite tournament since the World Cup ended with second place landing on first place at their spot, people were shocked. And when I watched this, I remember my heart beating fast. So I could just imagine how it was for these two duos. Have a look at the undeniably most intense 2v2 in the history of competitive Fortnite.
What is this? Queasy, Vino are trying to take it by force!
You only win in one way, and that's taking that crown! Vino is here! Queasy is here! Down goes Seti! It's a big trade! It's a one-on-one! This has to be one of the most explosive head-to-heads we have ever seen!
He's trying to bait the revive so that way Cammy might peek. Breaks through the wall.
Shot
You gotta give creds to Queasy and Veno for taking this risk. Only a few people in the world have the guts to go for something as high risk, high reward as that. What I'm curious about is how it felt for Seti and Kami when they eliminated them off spawn and knew that they had won the biggest tourney in years. Must have been an unreal feeling. After the 2022 Invitational concluded and some time went on, so did Chapter 3. And it was time to welcome Chapter 4. With hammers, thunder pumps, and a brand new map, the first season of this chapter was highly polarizing. Some players absolutely hated the new loot pull and map, whilst others loved it. Now, interestingly, the beginning of this chapter yet again ran over Christmas. And for me personally, this season was more fun than Chapter 3 Season 1. With this season also came at the beginning of 2023, which was awesome due to the reset in PR points, meaning the motivation to grind, for me at least, was very high, since I got a fresh start. During this season, we of course got some insane clips. Thomas HD is one name that stands out from this season due to his insane aim and ability to clutch. He was probably the best player in the world at this time. But when looking through hours of footage from important tournaments, I found a clutch by Reason A during the EU Grands that I want to show you. The best clutch from this season's FNCS.
Pixie, what does he have in the inventory? Just 3 builds. All the way up high, he sneaks the shot in 2. A magician is Reason. He's got a full bag of tricks that you can't predict. He's just too good. Watching out, forced to look towards this fight. Pickaxe towards the top, this pressure from the skies. Reason drops down the menace, and he's trying to have the game secured, but Jarko goes for the steal. Mats to play with, water down below. You have to elevate this. Reason have the mats all the way up top, connects with his walls. Another one down to make another box. Jarko off the right side, lands the first shot. Reason back up in the sky. One more floor, it's not his. Reason heads the falling shot, gets hit in the head again. Bot up top, it's blocked. Jarko with the next shot, he can win it, but Reason's too fast.
Having the composure Reason had in a scenario like that is admirable, especially when he was was on low ground in that scuffed position. Someone who didn't ever want to put themselves in a scuffed position was Venno and Queasy during the following season. You see, they played so good in the EU Grand Finals that they had a win rate of 50%. And not only that, they managed to win 5 games back to back. So in game 8 out of 12, they had already won the tourney. Imagine that. 4 more games to go and you've already secured first place and the life-changing amount of 100 grand each that came with it. At that point, you can just queue in with a smile on your face and relax for the remaining games. And that's exactly what they did too, as if they were as locked in as the first 8 games, they would have probably ended up winning minimum 1 more game, and maybe even more. The best clip from this season was when Venno popped off to secure their 5th win in a row. Have a look at this.
Taken out for someone even behind him, and Venom picks up Jason in his hand.
Mythic items all the way down below. I drop looking for one of the shots, but Vino all the way just falls down. Now 1v1 for Vino. It's easy. It's easy. It's just too good for this team.
It's just insane watching this back, seeing how far ahead of everyone else Venno and Queasy were during this season. It was like they were a year ahead of everyone else in terms of strats. I'm not sure exactly how they did it, if it came down to a master plan made by BloodX, or if it was just the thousands of hours they had put in. Whatever it was insanity. Kinda like when Acorn loaded in to an FNCS finals game without Quad. Most players, when your teammate doesn't load in, either get so frustrated that they play terribly and die early, or just give up. But Acorn is not like most players. Even when having to play off-spawn, Surge, and endgame alone against the best players in his region, he somehow manages to pull off an impossible clutch.
I'm the best, bro! I'm the best!
Like, what do you even feel after winning a game like that? Every other duo tried their hardest to win and couldn't, but you as a solo was able to win over everyone. At that point, you must just feel like the best player in the world. Just like you do if you win an unwinnable situation at a major LAN tournament. You see, in Season 4 of Chapter 4, Fortnite yet again hosted a major LAN in the Global Championships in Copenhagen. This time though, the stakes were even higher, as the prize pool was now $4 million instead of $1 million like it had been the year prior. Another difference was that you now had to qualify at the LAN to play in the actual finals, as 75 teams were invited and only 50 got a spot. So to ensure that Dukes and his duo Iggy made it, Dukes won what seemed like an impossible situation.
2 of NA's finest directly above him. Massive shot though off the center. With the back-to-back, and it's a victory royale out of nowhere.
Winning at LAN with your boy right next to you is a completely different vibe than clutching online, and this right here was truly inhuman from Dukes. After the Global Championship, we got the most fun season in literal years, Fortnite OG. The map turned back to the beautiful map of Chapter 1, and everyone from around the world yet again hopped on to play a few games. The vibes during OG Fortnite will probably never be matched again, but it was a blast while it lasted. During this season, I was grinding out YouTube like never before, so I actually couldn't think of one particular clip that was the best one, but I remember watching a ton of Polarized as he was insane during the season, so I picked out one of my personal favorites for this one. This one is just satisfying and funny as the guy just gave up. Man, I missed the OG season and can't wait for Chapter 2 OG to return. You know what else I miss? When Savage and Mongrel qualified for FNCS Grand Finals in Chapter 5 Season 1. Seeing this duo play together and somehow qualifying to the most competitive event in Fortnite after Mongrel hadn't played for years is so motivating. And this duo undoubtedly made the best content during the entirety of the season. You just couldn't help but cheer for them. And when Savage was left to clutch in heats to get enough points to qualify to Grands, every viewer was standing up praying for a miracle. And Savage, well, he made it happen.
On the left. Grapple up height. Grapple up height. Nice. It's 1v1, I think. 1v1.
Let's go!
This moment right here will go down in history as one of the most iconic moments of competitive ever. Now, how Savage was able to pull this off, I don't know, but he got an opportunity and made sure to make the absolute most out of it. Incredible clutch and a clip that will live on forever. Someone who will not live on forever though are the people in the same lobby as Peterbot during a solo victory cash cup finals. And for the final season of Fortnite we're talking about today, Chapter 5 Season 2, you could pick many great clips, but the player behind the majority of said great clips would have been Peterbot, the world's best player. He is so good that when people see his name in the kill feed, they play totally differently. And even some pros get nervous when they see that they're going up against him. Understandably so though. He has the best mechanics, he never misses a shot, and his understanding of the game is sky high. Now, picking out a best clip from Peterbot during this one was insanely hard. He got a perfect duo cash cup in that he won 6 out of 6 games, and he also had an insane clutch in one of the games. He got world record points in FNCS Grands, and he popped off and dropped 41 elims in the solo CC finals. Have a look at this.
Nice.
Oh! That ain't.
One shotgun.
Nice, bro. 2 more, Peter, 2 more. Nice, good shit, 1 more.
Get both for the 41.
Nice.
Nice. 32 HP. One gone. 30 build, 30 build.
Don't choke this 1v1. Don't choke this 1v1.
Don't do it. I'll build. 11.
It's only
98
for the world
HP.
record here. It's only for the world record here.
7 build, 98 HP. He's only 1 tap. 4 builds.
All you have to do is hit 1 shot. You're not choking.
Top 20.
Peter is ice cold. He does not care. He makes everyone look like floppers. As said though, it was super hard picking the best clip from him during Season 2. And I totally understand if you think another Peter clip was better. But at the same time, you can't deny that this 41 elim win was insane. Alrighty guys, that is it for the best clips from every season. This video took me ages to finish, so if you enjoyed, consider dropping a like and a sub, as well as a little comment. Thank you for watching.